It Consumes by author Elias Lamshol. The trees have turned various shades of orange, yellow, and brown. There's a slight chill in the air. Autumn is in full swing. Somewhere in the distance, a bird lets out a shriek. I walk through the tall grass dressed in a thick pair of briar pants. On my back is a backpack with a collapsible fishing pole, camping equipment, emergency supplies, and extra ammunition for the 12-gauge I cradle in my arms. This is bear country. To be caught out here without some form of defense would be to offer yourself up on a platter. Yet the gun also serves to put meat on the table alongside the fishing pole. It's how my wife and I sustain ourselves. I reach the edge of a river which cuts through the landscape like a snake. The frigid water is fast moving, but not to the point of being rapids. I drop my bag, lie the shotgun beside me on a large gray stone, and retrieve my pole. My bait, a fly I tied myself from squirrel hair and metal, hits the water delicately. It's a hard life, but a quiet one. Far from the hustle and bustle of the city, far removed from the people who are far removed from nature itself. For several hours I repeat this process. The river produces nothing. The fish are either uninterested or elsewhere in the river. As I begin to pack up my things, I notice a large bear upstream. It looks thinner than it should be, emaciated. Its back is turned to me, but I grab my gun anyway and pack quickly. Thankfully, I'm upwind and the bear is none the wiser of my presence as I skulk off back into the grass. The next morning, I kiss my wife Annie and venture out again. It is a little colder than yesterday. Gray clouds blot the distant sky. A rainstorm is threatening to break loose in the next few days. Today, I'm after the birds. Maybe the water is too cold for the fish now, and they're already hunkering down in preparation for the winter. My gun is loaded with shot, but I keep a handful of slugs at the ready in case I come across that hungry bear from yesterday. I traverse an area to the north of where I was the previous morning, a known hotspot for mallards and Canada geese. It's late enough in the day now that they won't be flying, but will be lying flat on the water. My plan is to rustle a few of them up and shoot as they take to the air. I move along a section of the river's edge, using tall strands of brown dried grass as cover. A burst of activity ahead stops me. I hear the familiar sound of a mallard's alert call. 2, 3, 5 ducks fling themselves into the air above me. I wonder briefly if it is me that startled them, but they're coming towards me, apparently startled from the opposite side of the bank. No shots ring out from that direction. It's not another hunter. Not a human one, anyway. I swing, fire, bang! A duck falls from the air and lands a dozen yards away. I fire again. A second falls just to the left of the first. I gather my spent shells and move forward to collect my quarry. The first duck is dead. The shot has done its job. The second duck is farther away and still alive. An unfortunate part of hunting. Streaks of red stain the brown grass with vibrancy. It hops to and fro on one leg and produces an alarmed cry as I near. I move forward, intent to put an end to the animal's suffering. Despite being a hunter, I can't stand to see an animal in pain. The duck hops forward into a thick clump of grass from which it lets out a new series of sounds, gurgling, shrieking, cries of pain and terror. My heart sinks. I can't stand the sound and push aside the grass in search of the poor wounded thing. It lies in a pool of strange green sludge. A horrible stench of burning flesh and feathers assaults my nostrils. Before my very eyes, the bird is absorbed into the slime, and in a matter of seconds it has lost all definition and form. Flesh, feathers, and bone melt into a sort of congealed soup within the sludge. I watch with detached and morbid curiosity, not thinking of my own safety and how I might face a similar fate if I was to somehow become trapped in the sludge. I break off a strand of dried grass and press it against the jello-like exterior. It moves slightly, and then the grass pierces through it. The dried grass is brittle and breaks near the end of my strand. The remainder is left submerged within the sludge, but it doesn't burn or melt like the duck. It remains whole and unbothered. The sludge quivers. Uneasy, I step back and check the safety of my shotgun. There's an unmistakable impression of life to the thing. It's disturbing to the point that I no longer want to be around it. I step back and move away from it, but never turn my back to it. To do so feels like an invitation for attack. The sludge remains where it is. It quivers like it is breathing. The sight of it is repulsive. I work my way backwards. Out of sight of the thing, I run back in the direction of my truck. The heavy pack I carry digs into my shoulders, and the shotgun becomes like a sack of bricks. Once there, I throw off everything and toss it into the bed. Yet almost as soon as I am free of the extra weight, I begin to laugh. It comes from the belly, a rolling, deep laugh. It's absurd. I ran from what is probably some sort of chemical spill. No laughing matter, surely, but it's not some monster, I tell myself. I feel better, and at the same time a little ashamed. I don't carry a normal cell phone with me. The very nature of them goes against the self-reliance and off-grid nature of Annie and I's livelihood. Yet I still carry a satellite phone. The yellow brick resides in my pack. I retrieve it and call in the sludge to the game warden. He will know best what to do with it. Chapter 2. The game warden's truck sits in the little patch of gravel that serves as a parking lot for the vast expanse of wilderness beyond. He sits in the front seat, the door swung wide open. His radio occasionally spits out static-filled updates from dispatch. He regards me with a smile and a nod of his head. I return the gesture. He alerts dispatch that we'll be trekking into the vast wilderness and relays a general location should something go wrong. Planning to do some hunting, he says in regards to the shotgun slung over my shoulder. Bears, I reply. There's at least one in the area, and he looks hungry. Sick, maybe even. The warden frowns. Probably has something to do with that sludge you found. Let's go check it out. We start down a trail. I take the lead with him in the rear. He carries his own shotgun now that he's aware of the possibility of bears. The stillness of the landscape is unsettling. There's the wind whispering through the tall grass and the occasional murmur of water slapping against rocks, but all sounds of life are gone. There are no birds. We see no fish in the water, no howling from wolves or coyotes, just an empty, lonely expanse. There's an unspoken tension. The warden has noticed the bizarre lack of wildlife too, yet it feels like we're being watched. Here, I say as we come to the place where I'd seen the sludge the day before. There's nothing. Not even the grass is trampled. The only sign that there was any life here are the few splashes of dried blood from the dead duck. It was right here, a pool of the stuff, I tell him. I feel like a crazed madman describing the thing. The warden kneels and scratches his head. It's hard to tell what he's thinking. Eventually he stands. I believe you, he says. But where did it go? There's no tracks to follow. No impressions in the grass or mud. How would we find the thing? Immediately 2 thoughts come to mind. The missing fish and the emaciated bear. It's in the water. Check the water. The warden moves toward the water and looks closely. For a moment it seems as if my assumption is incorrect. Then, with a startled gasp, he sees something. I move up beside him and feel an overwhelming sense of shock. The bear lies face down in the water. A muddy-colored runoff oozes from the decaying body as the thing is being dissolved before our very eyes. The flesh of the legs and thighs has already been dissolved, and the bone beneath is riddled with holes like the tunnels of ants. The green sludge is there. It moves and wriggles on the surface of the shallow water, eating the remains of the bear in its own ghastly manner. I've never seen anything like it, says the warden in a low voice. My God. The green sludge wraps itself firmly around the exposed bones of the bear, and there's an unpleasant sizzling noise. At the same time, it has come to my attention that the size of the sludge patch has grown considerably. We watch in a quiet sort of curious horror. The sludge consumes the bear's bones, then works its way around the belly. The flesh and fur mingle together beneath the green layer until they become a pale brown liquid suspended within. It takes less than 10 minutes for the entirety of the bear to be consumed in this way. It's alive, I say with disgust. That thing is not an oil spill or some kind of chemical. It's alive, and it's eaten everything. Listen, there's no birds, and you saw it yourself. There's no fish in this river. That thing is alive, and it's devouring every single living thing out there. Maybe it's some new invasive thing, something from China or Japan or... His voice trails off. My God. It has to be destroyed, I tell him. I can feel nothing but disgust and rage when I look at that thing. It's a murderer, a savage thing. It has no place out here in the natural world, invasive or not. Already it has consumed everything in this stretch of land, and who knows how many others in a gluttonous rampage. If it is allowed to continue, it will do so unchecked. The natural order of things will be lost. Head back to your truck, he says. I'm shutting down this area and putting it under full quarantine. Whatever this thing is, it'll be dealt with. There's nothing more I can do now but sit and wait. Chapter 3. When you live off-grid, there are always things to tend to. Chores that have to be done. It's a tough life, but a fair one. Yet all work requires energy. Calories to burn or eventually you'll crash. Food is an ever-present thought. When there are no supermarkets for hundreds of miles, how will you feed yourself? You plot and scheme ways to collect food, not just for today, but tomorrow and the days and weeks after. With the onset of winter comes a mad dash to fill your reserves, to stockpile. But what if there is no food to stockpile? It has been 2 weeks since the warden closed down the hunting area. 2 weeks since I last set eyes on that thing. Our freezers and shelves, usually filled with frozen meats and pickled vegetables, are unusually barren. We have, of course, a handful of chickens in the coop outside, but already 2 of them have gone missing. Foxes, I suppose, or rather hope. The lack of adequate food and the perverse sense of isolation we feel in the quiet, unsettling hours of stillness without the slightest sign of life works on our nerves. Annie and I fight and argue over the littlest things. The strain is getting to be too much. Cabin fever. One particularly cold morning, I can't take it anymore. I collect my gun and drive to the hunting area. The gravel parking lot is barren except for a single truck. The windows are foggy, and it is impossible to see inside. From the unit tag on the back, I can see that it belongs to the warden I spoke to previously. My skin turns to goose flesh. Why has the truck not moved? It looks to be in roughly the same place that it was when I saw it last. In the distance, the clouds have turned a dark shade of gray. The weatherman on the radio is predicting a winter storm. Already I can feel the frost in the air. An occasional speck of snow carried on the wind gently brushes past. I leave the truck and venture forth in search of the warden and the thing that has come to haunt my every hour. I find the warden's things laying by the river in a discarded heap, as if the man had simply stripped them off and left them. His shotgun lies on the grass. The barrel is already brown with rust. Around it are the discarded red plastic and brass of spent shells. I can only imagine the immense horror the man must have felt trapped inside that sludge, with nobody there to help. I unsling my own shotgun, less so for defense. It appears it would be useless in that regard anyhow. Moving up the river's edge, I search the grass for any sign of the green sludge. It's a full 3 hours before I find it. Already the snow is beginning to fall. Fat flakes blanket the land, turning it from a dreary brown to a brilliant white. The sludge has begun to freeze. The exterior has taken on a slushy appearance as it moves sluggishly across the ground. I stare at it, unsure what to do. Why did I come searching for it in the first place? A thin layer of snow has already blanketed the top of the thing, so that it now looks like a moving carpet of snow. It is freezing to death. It has stayed out too long. As it struggles along, limping on its last bit of energy, I can't help but feel a strange sense of kinship for the creature. In a way, it is only doing what I myself was doing. It was hunting, stockpiling. But its greed and insatiable hunger is what has driven it to ruin, and to ruin the lives of others. It will freeze to death out here, unable to move fast enough to escape the winter that is already upon it. In a way, I feel as if the thing is another version of me, a mirror reflecting back, a glimpse into my own future and the future of mankind, should we allow ourselves to consume with reckless abandon. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to check out some of my others. Thank you, and have a great day.